Welcome. It's another beautiful day and I've got my coffee. So let's watch some stuff.
The biggest scam in history is the World's Fair. We're told that these incredibly detailed buildings were simply made of plaster and wood. And I'll agree that some buildings are most likely added. Like, this looks on par with late 1800s architecture. But other buildings are a whole different story. Even when looking at construction photos, we see the scam in full effect. Certain features are drawn in, and we either see framework or the completed building with scaffolding around it. There's no in between. And that's odd because when upwards of $18 million was supposedly spent on construction, you'd assume that every aspect would be documented. But these types of photos are impossible to find. These pictures give us a window into the cover-up of an advanced civilization coined Tartaria. And while we are unsure of the truth behind these buildings, it's pretty clear who was behind the scam. And we know they thrive on secrecy and suppression of knowledge.
That's just a few examples of the buildings that are being linked to the Tartarian Empire because they all are built similarly, and a lot of them were mysteriously destroyed or taken down. They were torn down after World's Fairs, which is really interesting. And I don't see why the government wants to hide that. Like, we had a bunch of technology and they're like, no, no, we're going to start over. Like there was too much released at one time or something. I don't know. Okay, folks, today on madtakes.com, link is in the description as usual. We are doing a dragons ad lib. It's called dragons. The first word is going to be gray because it's a color, and she didn't say any colors, but that was the only color that was pretty predominant in that video, so we're going to go there. I just wanted to take a second and thank you so much for stopping by for today's coffee talk. If you're having a good time, maybe you'd consider hitting that subscribe button and come back tomorrow because I'm making a new video every day.
Time is a very strange concept to get your head around because it exists and yet it doesn't exist. Well, we were born, that's my beginning, and I'm 83 years old now, and I've come a long ways down this timeline, and I don't know how much more time I have till my time runs out. So it's a linear concept of time. But in quantum mechanics, physics, there's no time and there's no space because there's only the zero flux, the present moment, which is everything. Now that's a hard thing to get your mind around. Problematically, we spend most of our time in the past and project into the future. And we spend very little time in the present. And the present was given to us, and that's why it's called the present. We should spend more time in the present, but we don't. And it's so odd when you realize that.
I selected this video because I thought he was going to talk about how time is nonlinear. And because I don't watch these videos in their entirety, I watch the first few seconds of them and then I select them based on what I think is going to be interesting and fun to listen to and talk about. And that was totally not what I was expecting. And I'm glad for it because it makes you think, okay, if time is linear, you can't go back and you can't go forward. Live right now for right now. That's why I don't have so many pictures. Like you have pictures on your phone. Look at how many pictures you take. We went on a vacation for an entire week, and I think I took 3 pictures the entire time because you want to be there in the now. And I thought that was very profound. We needed a superlative ending in EST, and he didn't say anything, so I just went with greatest because why not?
How were the pyramids really built? The stones used to build the pyramids were from a quarry over 500 miles away. Scientists estimate that if humans were to drag these stones on wooden sleds, it would take about 20 people 500 days to get just one stone from the quarry to the building site. Now multiply that by the 2.3 million blocks that make up the Great Pyramid of Giza alone. One theory suggests that ancient Egyptians had far greater technology and powers than we have today. One power is telekinesis, which is the power of moving things with your mind through energy. It would explain how they moved the stones so far. Or did they get help from life outside of Earth?
So maybe the technology necessary to build the pyramids at the time that we suppose that they were built is why we had to do away with the Tartarian Empire. Or, aliens, of course. Tell me what you think. I want to know what you think. Do you think it was aliens? Do you think it was the Tartarian Empire? Or is there some science backed evidence about how they got these great stones all the way up to the top of this pyramid? Let me know. We got an adjective, which is great.
The Queen Mary ship in Long Beach has many ghost stories. After years of waiting, I boarded the ship to find out more. Yes, I was extremely excited. It was my first time. The ship is so stunning and well preserved, I was amazed. There is so much history here, but you definitely can't ignore the strange energy in certain parts. Their most seen ghost is a little girl named Jackie who haunts the swimming pool area. The ship doesn't know how she died, but there are a few theories. She is very playful and will sneak up and grab your hand or pop her head out of different corners. There is a ghost of a man named Officer Stark who accidentally poisoned himself by drinking a cleaning liquid he thought was gin. He is rumored to haunt one of the women's restrooms. Multiple cleaning staff members have reported seeing his figure. There is also a woman in all white seen by their original piano and dancing in the ballrooms. They say she was a bride of a World War II soldier who never returned to her. She still waits for her lover to come home. Lastly, room B340 is the most haunted room on the ship. It is currently closed to the public, but the staff calls the room's spirit Walter. He's very active. He's known to pull the sheets off the bed, turn the water faucet on. Let's just say the staff members I spoke with refused to go in there alone. Some guests of B340 have apparently not been able to make it through the night due to activity. I'd be down though. There are so many more stories and videos from my experience to share. Let me know if you want a part 2.
Now, I remember a show when I was young called A Current Affair. Yes, I know. I'm old. I'm over it. And I remember them telling the story about the little girl and how she drowned in the pool, supposedly. And I remember them showing like little ghostly footprints in water going across alongside the pool. I'm sure that was just a dramatization and it wasn't actual footage of them, seeing of that happening. But I've always wanted to go to Queen Mary and I don't. And I don't know why. There's all kinds of cool stories. I didn't even know half of those. I only remember the one about the little girl. I think that's neat. We got a body part, which is plural. They said hand, but I said hands because we needed a plural. And what am I going to do? And another body part, which is head. So that worked out. Moving along.
These are my 5 prophecies for 2024, and I warn you that you're not going to like them. I am Michel of Notre Dame, but you probably know me as Nostradamus. I am a French apothecary who lived in the 16th century, and my prophecies still terrify people to this day. I developed an interest in predicting the future after losing my loved ones during a plague epidemic that struck Europe. This marked my life. If I had known that this would happen, I could have saved my family members. That's why I dedicated the rest of my life to developing my knowledge in astrology and divination. In 1555, I published a book called Les Prophéties, which compiled all my prophecies for humanity, including the date of the end of the world. In that book, I predicted events like the French Revolution, the fall of Napoleon, the atomic attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the death of John F. Kennedy, the tragedy of the Andes, and even the date of my own death. But I won't bore you anymore with things that have already happened. These are my prophecies for 2024. Climatic catastrophes will intensify. This year will be marked by extreme climatic events, dry lands will dry up even more, and floods will occur more often. There will be a radical change in the Vatican. Pope Francis will be replaced by a new pope. The successor of Pope Francis will be the last pope before the end of the world. A great earthquake will occur in May in the United States, bringing with it great human and economic losses. The short reign of Charles III of the United Kingdom will end. The Third World War will begin, starting as a great naval battle that will stain the waters red. Save this video so you can come back and comment after some of my prophecies come true. Want some advice? Don't worry, because there is nothing you can do. Everything is written. Those who live the times of great changes with humility, serenity, and preparedness will survive.
This is another one that makes me think back. I recall a video that we had rented, yeah, back in the days of Blockbuster, and it was on the predictions of Nostradamus. And all I remember seeing was like a field of flowers, but then fire just sweeping over all of them. And I was very young and impressionable, and that was just burned into my memory. And so I tend not to want to hear what Nostradamus has to say just because that particular scene scared the daylights out of me as a child, you know? I don't know how true all of these are, so take those with a grain of salt. Unless, of course, you know anything about Nostradamus prophecies. If there is anything about this year, that'd be great to know. But let's see how many of those come true. We got a noun, which is prophecy.
The Giant of Castleknock is a mysterious discovery made by Georges Vacher de la Pouge in 1890. The bones, a humerus, tibia, and femoral midshaft, were found in the sediment used to cover a Bronze Age burial tumulus in the Bronze Age cemetery of Castelnau-le-Lez, France. De la Pouge estimated from the bone size that the human may have been about 11 foot 6 inches tall, making it one of the largest humans known to have existed. The discovery caused a sensation and was reported in the journal La Nature in 1890. In 1894, press accounts mentioned further discoveries of bones and human giants, indicating a race of men between 10 and 15 feet in height where...
Interestingly enough, I've seen several documentaries where they talk about the size of humans getting smaller and smaller. I've also seen several documentaries where they talk about the size of humans getting larger and larger, like we're larger than we used to be, or there was miniature horses, you know, and horses have gotten bigger and other animals have gotten bigger based on the necessity, obviously, because of not natural selection, but because of evolution. You evolve based on the necessities of your surroundings, right? So that's interesting. But I do have another video that I think talks about how that's fake. We got an animal, which is human. It's the only animal that they mentioned, and I'm gonna play that video now.
A second to get a few people mad out there with these photos of excavated giant bones found all over the world. But why would they be mad? Oh, it's because these are fake. That's right. Every one of these photos of giant bones have been deemed fake, but I'm gonna show you the real ones.
You can find numerous accounts of bones, skeletons, and giant-sized artifacts that have been found in this area.
Photos like this are claimed to have been part of an archaeology Photoshop contest back in the day, but were they just part of a cover-up? Let's start off easy. These 6.5-foot femur bones are confirmed real and weigh around 1,100 pounds. But they were of course labeled as dinosaur bones, belonging to a species called sauropods. Real convenient being able to just slap a dinosaur label on any potential giant remains we ever find, huh?
Dug and they found over 5,000 fragments of these giants.
A lot of people will say, it's only one bone, where's the rest of the giant then? Oh yeah? Where's the rest of the dinosaur, motherfucker? But you know what, they might actually be dinosaur bones, so let's not jump to conclusions yet. Like this two-headed mummy discovered off the coast of Argentina in the 1600s, measuring 12 feet tall and currently on display in a museum, confirmed by many physicians to be real. Now there's this, a giant skeleton over 23 feet tall, uncovered in Ecuador and 100% confirmed real, which was later dismissed as an ancient sloth? Like, come on, they're just making shit at this point. Another photo from Ecuador. Kinda blurry, I know, but almost no evidence pointing to it being faked. Here's a giant footprint fossil in South Africa, 4 feet long and estimated to have belonged to a being 24 to 27 feet tall. And finally, there's this. A much more human-looking femur bone, and not as thick as the others. Dug up in the Euphrates Valley in Turkey, measuring 47 inches and estimated to have belonged to a giant over 20 feet tall.
They do the DNA testing on it, they're able to get a complete genome from it, and what they discover is, this is another human species.
All confirmed real, and giant excavations like these used to get widely reported in newspapers all the time back in the late 18 to mid 1900s, but now they're always quick to sweep these under the rug for some reason. With the Smithsonian, the world's leading museum and research education institution created by the US government, accused of covering up all giant findings and instead putting the spotlight on how fake the fakes are. Like they did with the San Diego giant in 1865, which is one of the smaller ones, inspected by dozens of scientists and featured in many newspapers. After which the Smithsonian purchased the giant for a pretty large sum, and then all of a sudden, many years later, they dismiss it as a hoax, saying that it was made from gelatin and we never see it again.
It's very disconcerting, and it's a good question to ask. Where are the bones? The path leads to the Smithsonian.
Google searches of these giant excavations will obviously only bring up the fakes, pushing the most ridiculous ones to the top of the search results. The problem with finding definitive proof of these giants is the internet is laced with these Photoshop jobs. So all the Google debunkers are quick to downplay any new evidence that comes up, like, nah bro, it's fake, didn't you read that fact check article bro, even if real evidence were to come up.
There's several very strange stories of these dead corpses or skeletons being found regularly.
But even if real evidence were to come up, the alleged Smithsonian cover-up can easily just write a bunch of articles that discredit it as a hoax. We all know this isn't the first time governments and tech giants were caught deliberately manipulating data to control the narrative. A lot of the time, the difference between a conspiracy and fact is time. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% one of those cases, but keep that mind open, people.
So it just goes to show that I don't actually watch these videos ahead of time because I thought that was talking about how the giants were faked. I know in the beginning it says that there was a magazine Photoshop challenge, and so a lot of them are fake, but there are still a lot of other finds, apparently, that have not been debunked or proven as fake. And that led into something about the Smithsonian, how the Smithsonian, they take stuff and hide it. And that's interesting. I'm going to look into that because I've seen some other videos about how the Smithsonian hides history, which is cool, which is not cool. It's totally not cool. We got our last 3 words, which are fake, giant, and smaller. We are done. Dragons, ad lib. The gray dragon is the greatest dragon of all. It has great hands and a head shaped like a prophecy. Okay. It loves to eat human. Fantastic. Although it will feast on nearly anything. It is fake and giant. Well, there you go. You must be smaller around it or you may end up as its meal. All right. Well, I hope you had as much fun as I did. Thank you so much for hanging out today. I hope to see you tomorrow and have a wonderful day. Here's my cutting room floor. 3, 2, 1. So let's watch some stuff. We're supposed to have a superlative. It's like an adjective. Superlative. So aliens built all of these pyramids all over the planet. It needs body parts, and nobody's saying body parts. The Tartarian Empire. We have to start that over. The Tartarian Empire. I'm going to stop saying that because I feel like an idiot. It's the Tartarian Empire. Distractions. I'm in a full house. I have a full house. And there's a lot going on outside this room. That's a good explanation. I like it. I'm going to go with that. Interestingly enough, now this is interesting. Do you want to know something interesting? I think it's interesting. I find this interesting. Do you think it's interesting? It's pretty interesting. No, I don't think so.